How's it going, everybody? Got a lot of PlayStation game news and updates to go over. It looks like Naughty Dog's next release may have been leaked, and it's not one that I am particularly super excited for, but I understand why it's happening. Looks like we might be getting a couple of PlayStation 5 upgrades that will be released. Not necessarily games that need upgrades, but hey, new releases, we'll talk about that, and a bit of an update on the next major Dragon Ball title coming from Bandai Namco. Very excited about the potential of the new Dragon Ball Tenkaichi game, and it looks like they might be going through a bit of a rebranding with the franchise over here in the States. We'll talk that at the end of this video. But first of all, The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered is mentioned in Naughty Dog's employee's LinkedIn profile. Now, Last of Us Part 2 getting a remastered release, I guess isn't that surprising. I mean, the game is 60 frames per second on PlayStation 5. It looks great, and I think a lot of people would argue that Last of Us Part 2 looks better than a lot of PlayStation 5 games that are released. But you know, getting an upgraded release, doing a re-release, I get why they're doing it. Easy money, like, let's be real. That's the main reason they're doing it. It's gonna be easy cash for them, and I'm sure it's gonna be, like, a very simple upgrade for them to release with the combination of the success of the IP, and probably, most importantly, this is also to piggyback a potential PC release for Last of Us Part 2, because that's exactly what they did with Last of Us Part 1. Released that version on PlayStation 5, $70, and then they released Last of Us Part 1 on PC as well, like 6 months later. I could easily see that happening with Last of Us Part 2 as well. I've been pretty vocal about my thoughts on Last of Us Part 2, but you know what? This is another one of those games. I have my opinion, and even though I have my opinion that's very negative towards Last of Us Part 2, what I will concede, and I feel like I'm real about this when I talk about this game, when it comes to Last of Us Part 2, yes, a lot of the rhetoric online is negative towards this game. However, I would argue that a lot of the people that talk badly about Last of Us Part 2 are also incredibly vocal about it. So you're gonna hear very loudly from the people that have a negative opinion on this game, where in reality, I think the majority of people that played Last of Us Part 2 honestly did enjoy the game, and that's why I always say, I'm one man, I'm one opinion. It's my opinion that Last of Us Part 2 wasn't that great and they fumbled the Last of Us narrative. If you don't agree with me on that, great. I'm happy for you. If you enjoyed the game, if you thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread, knock yourself out, go play it, and I think there's a lot of quality elements. I think from a technical standpoint, I think from a tone standpoint, visually, gameplay-wise, like Last of Us Part 2 has a lot of elements that I really like, but you guys already know, and I don't want to go down the diatribe of why I wasn't crazy about it, but Naughty Dog, man, you look at their PlayStation 5 rollout this generation, pretty damn terrible. They've released Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection, Last of Us Part 1, and now a potential Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, and their multiplayer project is seemingly on ice or canceled, and we still don't have any idea what is the status of their single-player game. The last time they dropped a project was back in mid-2020, so it's been 3 years since the release of Last of Us Part 2. A little over 3 years. Hopefully we hear about Last of Us Part 3 or whatever they're doing next, probably Last of Us Part 3 in 2024. I imagine they'll talk about it in 2024 and it won't come out until 2025 or 2026. Big bummer, man. Big bummer that, you know, the turnaround time on Naughty Dog for their games is also getting exponentially longer and longer, much like a lot of other publishers and developers, I should say. A lot of other developers taking longer and longer to get their games out. Remember, back in the late 2000s where I thought Naughty Dog was at their peak, 2007, Uncharted 1, 2009, Uncharted 2, 2011, Uncharted 3, 2013, Last of Us 1. Like, think about those 4 games that they released in the span of 6 years, 2007 until 2013, all 3 of the original Uncharted games, Last of Us 1, and then 2016 is when we got Uncharted 4, and then 2020 for Last of Us Part 2, and yeah, I enjoyed Uncharted 4, but Last of Us Part 2 definitely wasn't great in my opinion. Obviously, they also did Lost Legacy in 2017, which a lot of talk based on the fact of Sony and other developers doing these these mid-game kind of mid-sequels or half-sequels. I think that makes a lot of sense, and I want to do a full video talking about that in the future because I think it'll definitely at least, you know, quell people's eagerness for the next game. Like, imagine if we had a bridge-the-gap kind of game between Last of Us Part 2 and Last of Us Part 3. I think that would have been very beneficial as a whole, but instead, probably gonna have to wait 5-6 years between the release of Part 2 and Part 3, which is a bummer, but hey, the takes longer and longer to get these games out, and that's why they're looking at other revenue generation models, and that's why live service is a big deal. That's why they're doing these PC releases to get more mileage out of the incredible cost that they do sink into these projects. Moving on from that, a couple other quick things to note. Hotline Miami 1 and 2 trophies appear for PlayStation 5. This is a potential re-release or an upgrade for the release of Hotline Miami 1 and 2. Both games are really solid, definitely a little bit bloody, definitely not for a younger crowd, but Hotline Miami 1 and 2 are great titles, and they've been around for a long time. I think the game initially dropped in 2011 or 2012. It's been a while, and I remember when Hotline Miami initially came out, it had a lot of buzz surrounding it back then, but re-release on PlayStation 5, that's quite nice, and, you know, maybe another opportunity to get those trophies, as the key pointing factor is the fact that trophies have appeared for PS5, so potential re-release there. And lastly, do want to note that Bandai Namco has trademarked Sparking Zero in the United States. Now, if you're unfamiliar, over here in the States, Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi was called Dragon Ball Budokai Tenkaichi. In Japan, the franchise was actually called Dragon Ball Z Sparking, and now they filed for the Sparking Zero trademark in the United States. So Budokai Tenkaichi could potentially be getting a little bit of a rebrand and adopting the same nomenclature here as it does in Japan. Whatever the deal is, it looks like this game is making progress and hopefully will be coming out sometime in 2024. A lot of the times with these Dragon Ball games, they get announced and it's not like they stay in development for too long, and, you know, once the gameplay reveals and whatnot really get going, the release isn't too far after that. This was released, or this was announced a while ago, and the trailer was very brief. All you saw was Goku going Super Saiyan Blue, but you knew that it was a new Tenkaichi game, or in this case, could potentially be rebranded into Sparking Zero. If you are familiar with the Tenkaichi games, these games were absolutely in an elite category on PlayStation 2, and they released on Nintendo Wii, actually. And, Tenkaichi 1 was fine, Tenkaichi 2 was really good, and then Tenkaichi 3, I think everybody really enjoyed that. Large roster of characters, battles were so great, and the idea of a new Tenkaichi on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series, legitimately 3 generations have gone by since the last mainline Tenkaichi release. Man, that is incredibly exciting. So hopefully we do see an update on that very shortly, and hopefully it is next gen only. Like, let's leave, by the time this game comes out, I'm ready to leave PS4 and Xbox One behind, and let's get this on PS5, Xbox Series, and if you want to do it on Switch too, baby, you can do it on Switch too. But let's get the PS4 and Xbox One out of here. But that'll do it for me. Again, Last of Us Part 2 potentially getting remastered. We'll see if they decide to do like an upgrade path for the original game. I would have to think not. I know they did it for Uncharted. They didn't do it with Last of Us 1, but we'll see if they do it with Last of Us 2, and I could see that coming out in 2024. Hotline Miami 1 and 2 potentially getting a PS5 upgrade, and Bandai Namco trademark Sparking Zero in the US could potentially be hinting at a rebranding of the Budokai Tenkaichi titles over here stateside. But that'll do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.